As you know, I do love Vanguard. There's no other company that I'm happy to give my money to each year for simply looking after my money and then growing it. I've been using Vanguard for just over 3 years now and have become very well versed with their web browser. In this time, I've learned a lot about the Vanguard website and all the functionalities that it might have. But saying that, some are quite hidden and that I've only learned about some of them in the last few weeks. They're all just a couple of clicks away, but if you don't know about them, then you might never find them. If you have a Vanguard account, then feel free to give the video a like. But then if you don't learn anything from this video, then feel free to take that like back because I'm pretty sure there's something in it for you. Right, let's get into it. The first one is probably one of my favourites as it shows you a really clear performance chart with a visual representation of every time you bought and sold your fund visually. For me, I only have one fund, but if you have multiple, then you'll probably have multiple different charts that you can look at. Let me show you how to find it. So first, log onto your account and then head over to My Profile. If you head over to the panel on the left, select Overview, then pick your account or the account you want to look at in particular. In my case, I want to look at my ISA. If you want to know why I have a general account, then in brief, when I was a newbie, I initially set up my Vanguard account as a general one. I had no idea about ISAs, but anyway, that's another story. Luckily, I corrected it 6 months later. Anyway, for me, I'm going to look at my ISA, but you can select any account you wish. You might have multiple. Click onto the Investments tab and you'll see the following page. Notice that my fund is highlighted in blue. If I skip selecting my ISA and simply click Investments while still on Overview, then your fund selection will be greyed out and will be shown as something like this. If it is still greyed out, then go back and select the account, so in my case ISA, then Investments. If you then click on the highlighted blue fund, you'll then see this fantastic chart. This shows you at each point when you've bought and sold a fund. It's green for buy and red for sell. I haven't got any sells in this 1 year view, but I do on my 3 year one, so let me just change the details to show you. Yep, there you go. You can see that on the 4th of November 2019, I sold at least one share. I think I was doing this because I needed to pay my quarterly bill and I didn't have enough cash balance in my account to pay this, so I had to liquidate one of my shares. As a cheeky bonus, you can see in the top right, you'll see your average buy price. So you can see my average buy price just here. So it's roughly around £12 below where the current share price is. Underneath this, it will itemise all your transactions, whether it's a buy or sell, how many units did you purchase, and then the price, and then also the reference number for the transaction if you need it. Finally, it gives you a transaction total, which is simply the sum of your share price by the number of units you purchased. Under that, you can see the fund performance for the last 5 calendar years. Not some bad insight for just a small link highlighted in blue, hey? There is actually a quicker way you can find your average buy price, so let's go back to the start, select My Profile, click on Investments, and then you'll see a slider in the top right above Actions saying Detailed View. Simply click on the tab and it should turn blue. You will now get some extra columns which include how many units you have in that fund, and maybe in your case you might have multiple funds, so it'll tell you how many units you have in each fund, with your average buy price for each. This is where you can see your average buy price in just one simple click. On this screen, you can navigate to the Performance tab, which you most likely know about, which shows you how your fund has grown over time. But you might not know that you can customise this chart by whatever date range you choose. Simply click on the calendar. So for me, let's look at 2020. Let's just select these dates now. I'm regretting picking these dates because it's taken me quite a while to get there. Give me a second. There we go. Now the end date is the 31st of December 2020. Once you have the dates, click Review and boom. This will also update the numbers above to show you the amount you started with in your account of this period. So in my case, I started with £31,552. I then contributed just short of £13,000. I then had some market gains of just over £5,000, which left me with a sum of £49,599 with a rate of return of 13.51%. You might think this percentage doesn't add up though. I get this question a lot and you might have it yourself. If you click on the icon above it, it will tell you how this is worked out. In short, it's based on what is known as the internal rate of return, which basically takes into consideration how long your money has been in the account. Otherwise, depositing money into your account would drive your percentage return down. If you're a bit of a wannabe accountant or actually are an accountant, so shout out to all my CIMA and ACA brothers and sisters out there, then the calculation tab might be your sort of thing. It gives you a full breakdown of the calculations behind the scenes to show you how they generate your net deposits and your returns. For me, you can see that my £10,000 gain is made roughly up of 90% market gains and 10% through dividends. One part of the site which I really like is a monthly tab, as I like to see and compare my market gains, especially versus the same time last year. So at the top it's currently showing this month, which is April, where I've finally broken the 5-figure gains mark. But if I scroll down to April last year, which might take me a while, give me a second, you can actually see that I was actually down £500. If I scroll further down to when I started with my account, you can see that I was in and out of the red until we got to about February 2019. It's a lot of data in just one view, but it's really good for finding certain bits of information that you might want. I've got to say though, I wish Vanguard had some sort of export button here so I could drag out all this data into an Excel spreadsheet, but hey, that's just me, I'm a bit of a geek. While we're here, we can check the investments tab, which shows you a breakdown of the amount you have in each of your funds. For me, it's just my cash balance and my VWRL portfolio. It's not all about numbers though. Sometimes it's better to get more of a visual of what your portfolio looks like. You can get this by clicking on the Insight tab, which shows you several things. The first is this orange bar, which shows a split between how much you have invested versus how much cash you sat on. I try and hold as little cash as possible in this account. As soon as I have enough to buy a share, then I buy a share. So for this reason, I've got a solid orange bar and there's no green showing. Below this is the top 8 geographical regions to visualise how your money is spread geographically. For me, it's very straightforward as my portfolio is made up of just one ETF. But if you hold multiple funds, then this view will consolidate all your funds and calculate your exposure to different regions. You might only want a certain amount of exposure to certain markets, so it's good to glance at how this is weighted across your portfolio. If you wanted to see how this number was calculated, then you can simply click on the blue More button next to where it says Top 8 Geographical Regions. This will then open a pop-up screen which shows you your percentage split by geographical count per fund and then gives you a total for each at the bottom. Again, mine is very boring, but yours might be more interesting if you hold multiple funds. I wonder if there's anything you found that's interesting or that you weren't aware of before. Anyway, on with the video. So below this, you can see your top 10 companies by weighting your portfolio. So for me, and most likely everyone else, the biggest holding in my portfolio is Apple with a huge 3.2%. That's actually nearly £2,000 just in Apple, which is pretty crazy. Just to note, I initially found it fairly difficult to find a whole full list of all the companies included in VWRL, and I'm going to assume that some of you might have the same issue and want to look at the detail in your fund. So let me give you this cheeky bonus tip. If you click on the maroon ribbon at the top and select the drop down for what we have to offer, click our full list of funds. Find your fund, so for me it's a FTSE All World UCITS ETF. Click on your fund. If you click the tab for portfolio data and then scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll find a full list of all the companies held within your fund. Good luck spending hours reading through them all. There are truly some weird and wonderful companies that you're technically a shareholder of. Anyway, back to where we were. Under your top 10 investments, you'll see your sector allocation. This works in the same way that your top 10 geographies work. You can see here my biggest sector is technology at over 22%. If you have a mix of funds, then it might be worth clicking on the blue More button to look how your total percentage is mixed. If you have VUSA, then you're most likely going to have a higher percentage of tech in your portfolio. The last tab I think you should be aware of is the Transactions tab. I'm not going to go through all the tabs, but I just wanted to highlight 2. The first is the Orders tab. If you want to look at how many shares you've bought and what price for, then simply click the plus sign to open up the transactions. Here you can see that my latest transaction, I wanted to purchase £95 worth of VWRL, and the contractor cost in the end was £80 and 3p, as you can only buy a whole share at a time. And this was done at 10:15 on the 29th of March 2021. The only other tab I think you should be aware of is the Corporate Actions. This is primarily for information about your dividends. I'm actually due a dividend, so let's see what my Q1 payment is up to. If I scroll down to the bottom, I can see that my latest dividend has not been posted yet, which means it hasn't been received. If I click on details, it will show how much per share I am due and will give me a schedule of when the dividend is due. It says it should be within 10 working days of March 17th. I will likely get it on Tuesday as Monday is a bank holiday in the UK. So there you have it. These have been all the hidden gems on the Vanguard's web browser. Did you know about all these already? Or are there ones that you weren't aware of that you've learned about by watching this video? Let me know in the comments below. I'd really like to see your feedback. So I hope you've enjoyed this video as my guide to the hidden functions on Vanguard's website. If you still have further questions or comments, then let me know in the comments below because I do try and respond if I can. I do other videos on this channel around investing, finance and income growth, These include updates on my investment portfolios, which are primarily on Vanguard, you probably won't be surprised, but I do have other investment portfolios, such as my crypto portfolio over on crypto.com, so feel free to check them out. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.